mortgage lending with the best mortgage in America. It's no down payment, no closing costs or fees, no PMI, no consideration of your credit score. And guess what? It's at a below market fixed rate. NACA's just relentless. This is the NACA way.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of NACA's American Dream program, where we help you get through the process talking about different aspects of NACA. We have a special guest, and she's not even a special guest. She's just part of the fixture. We have Tammy from the hand department explaining how do you get through the hand department and getting you through the home and neighborhood program as far as working with NACA. But before I even get started with Tammy, we want to say hey to our mistress of ceremony, Miss Control Lady herself. All right, Miss Anjanette Thibodeau out there in Texas. What's going on?
You know what? I am going to stop you on that one. That's not control. That's taking advantage. We are here. Hey to all you out there, all of my NACAlodians out there. It is a beautiful day to be out taking full advantage, not control, but full advantage of the opportunities and the programs that NACA is bringing forth to you. We are bringing forth awareness, access, and change. And guess what? At a 30-year fixed rate of 5.75 and a 15 and 20-year fixed rate at 5.25%, you cannot beat that with a stick. We are still the best of the best. You can still buy down your rate. It is no money down, no closing costs, no fees, and no consideration of your credit score. This is the program for anyone who desires to be into that dream home. And guess what? I always tell people it doesn't have to be your last dream, your last step. This could be your first step into generational wealth building and making your dream of homeownership a reality. So only here, brought to you, empowered by NACA. As always, I'm going to always start this show out by saying, like us, love us, hit us up on social media. We're on all the platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You like it, love it, do whatever you want to do with us. And you can always check out the latest at www.naca.com. Wow. And for today's show, you can always hit us up on our radio program show. Our phone number is 833-771-0500. That's 833-771-0500. And you are right, Damien. We do not have a guest on this show. Tammy Johnson is not only the National Director for our Home and Neighborhood Department. We have some good news to tell everybody. We've been talking about this for a while. We're back doing our face-to-face workshops. So I want to encourage you to go to the website, look at put your zip code in, look at the workshop that are coming down the pipe, and look for the ones that are closest to you by your zip code so that you can get more engaged, more interactive. Now, I will never knock the virtual workshops. They're great, but I am the type that I like that one-on-one, that hands-on, that let me go and ask, after the workshop is over, I want to go and talk to a counselor. I want to go talk to them about my specific needs, whatever is unique for me to get into my home. And you can do that at your local workshops that are now back in our face-to-face in-person sessions. So definitely take full advantage of that. But we've been announcing that NACA has more programs providing you more access of what you need to succeed. One of those programs is now we have our Rehab. We have Rehab, we have Refinance, we have Purchase Program, we have our Hot PHA, we have everything. We have our Home Save. There's so much.
Rental assistance.
Rental assistance, everything under the housing umbrella is right here to make sure that you have what you need to succeed and thrive in your communities and neighborhood. But I want to, yield the floor. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to yield the floor to none other than Tammy Johnson, because we want to talk about the rehab and what this means for us. Damien, you and I, we've been away for a while. We've been in Alabama, Georgia, lately Louisiana, Arkansas. So we've been doing a lot of face-to-face, but we gotta get into this rehab, because for our southern territories that have had a lot of devastation due to the storm, this Rehab program has been not only a blessing, but a game changer for getting their properties back habitable. And Tammy always has embedded in my head, it's embedded. I say it like a song. Code safety health, code safety health, code safety health. I always say code safety
I
health.
like that one.
Yes, I always say that because people think that, oh, I just need some marble and some tile floors and some wood flooring. No. So let's take a moment. Facebook, I want you guys to throw some hearts up there. Let's take a moment and find out why we're doing rehab, what's important, and how do you get involved in this? How do we get qualified for rehab assistance? So with that, none other than our hand director, Tammy, take it away. Welcome back home.
Thank you, guys, Damien and Jeanette. It's nice to be back. Thanks for welcoming me back. So I've got a lot of news for everybody. I know that's one of the reasons you pulled me in today. NACA's Home and Neighborhood Development Department, or HAND, we have a lot of initiatives we've been working on over the winter. Coming into the spring, we've got a lot of renovation projects that are starting up. So I kind of want to run through some new initiatives and new program guidelines. So Ann Jeanette is correct. We have a new refinance product. It's called the Rehab Mortgage. The Rehab Mortgage is for priority members who are under the median MSA income for where the property is located. So you have to be at or below the median income to be able to refinance. And that is whether you have an existing mortgage or not, to refinance for the purpose of doing necessary repairs and renovations. Now, the rehab mortgage is not for rate and term. You cannot cash out on your home. This is for renovation repair purposes only. And you must be below the median MSA for where the property is located. And you can go on to the FFIEC.gov website to see what your MSA income limits are for where you live. All you need to do is click on census data, put in your property address, and it'll show you what the median MSA income is. And if you are at that or below for your annual household income, you would qualify for the rehab mortgage product. Now, the rehab mortgage product is for the purpose of doing code safety health, structural, mechanical. NACA wants to make sure, and we spent a lot of time in Alabama over the past couple of months looking at how homeowners are managing to live with no heat, no plumbing, challenges, holes in the roof. People are living in unfortunate circumstances because they don't have access to an affordable mortgage product. So NACA went back to the drawing board, worked with our participating lenders and saying, we have got to be able to offer priority low-income members something to help them have a home that is safe and livable. That's the purpose of the rehab mortgage. So I want to be very clear. This is not a refinance product for everybody. It's not going to work. If you are a NACA member with a mortgage, you don't qualify for this refinance. We don't refinance NACA mortgages. We refinance or create a new loan if you don't have a mortgage. Homeowners out there that have possibly an unaffordable mortgage and they need to get out from underneath that and be able to take out some of the equity they have to get the repairs done, or maybe they don't have a mortgage, but they have limited income. And if we can show that they can make a new mortgage payment, which will include principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, we will roll in costs for repairs that would make that home livable and safe for your household. The refinance option is available now. You just need to sign up for the next NACA workshop. I am currently holding a rehab mortgage overview webinar that kind of walks through the criteria. And once you complete that webinar, it's just like an hour workshop that answers questions. It's live, so you can ask about the scenario with your house to see if it fits before you sign up for a NACA workshop. Those are held on Friday at 3 p.m. Central Standard. I need you to email hand@naca.com to get a link to that webinar. Okay, because that's not available on the website as a live webinar right now. This is just a temporary overview to get people that are interested a little bit more information before they actually sign up for the 4-hour NACA workshop that goes through the qualification criteria. Now, the qualification criteria is exactly the same as purchase qualification. You still have to show an income source to be able to pay that future mortgage payment. You still have to show on-time payment history. There's some criteria that is different for the rehab mortgage. I'll go over that in my live webinar for Friday. Again, just email hand@naca.com, ask for the link to the rehab mortgage overview, and we'll send you a link for that for Friday. But this is exciting, Anjanette, because we are now able to go and help existing homeowners that were not NACA members and be able to go in and assess the property condition and determine what needs to be done. We're going to look at code, safety, health, and if the member has a little room in their qualification to do some other improvements, fresh paint, new flooring, maybe some energy efficient new windows. We also have a new program that Hand is working on with different municipalities around the country right now. The big one is Mass Save in the Massachusetts market, where we are working with the local utility providers to look at grants that are available to homeowners out there to update their heating source to a more affordable, economical heating source, new windows, insulation. So NACA is really focusing on helping homeowners out there and our NACA members that are coming through the program to identify affordable ways to improve the condition of the property so it's energy efficient. We've got a lot of things going on, so I really do. I can't wait to see what the successes are out of our Alabama program. We're working really fast and focused on helping those homeowners get into the rehab mortgage so that we can start doing some renovations there. And obviously our purchase rehab, we've got over $21 million in renovations right now all over the country. It's spring. Contractors are, submitting their bids and members are getting ready to get started on their spring projects. So there's a lot going on in Hand.
So Tammy, let me ask you a question. If we can pause for a minute. Etasha, thank you. Etasha Trotter said they sat in on 2 of your hand workshop. Great info and got a lot of information. So thank you for that, Tammy. And Tammy, just for, and Etasha, somebody else wanted to ask and share as well. Just for repeating this, you said send the link, the request for the link to the hand@naca.com. And what time is that, Tammy, on Friday?
Friday, 3:00 Central Standard Time.
3:00 Central Standard Time. We finally on Central Time, everybody. 3:00 Central. Thanks to the hand department that is located in San Antonio, Texas.
Tammy,
go ahead, Tammy.
I'm sitting on edge. I'm so excited. I'm just sitting on the edge, about to fall out the chair. So want to reiterate this so everybody understands it. Since it's just like the other program, so you automatically get the 1%. Since they're all going to be priority, they're going to always get the 1%.
Correct.
And they're also able to buy their interest rate down a little more to make it even more affordable. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Damien. It's the same product as the purchase product.
Okay.
Only with the rehab mortgage product, it is only for low-income members. So you have to be 100% or below the median MSA for where the property is located. This is the product criteria. The interest rate buy down is the same. The grant is the same. I'm trying to think. You got to own or occupy the property. It's not for investors. You can't have any ownership interest in the property. These are some of the things that I go over in the Friday webinar. You cannot own any other property. If you inherited this property, you got to show that you've been living in it for at least the last 3 years. As a matter of fact, if you've purchased your home in the last 3 years, you're not eligible for this product. This is for anyone that's owned their home for 3 years or more, and they can show that they are living in it, and it's the only home they have, and they're under 100% of the MSA. Those are the main criterias. All other program guidelines apply, the volunteering, the activities, the NACA qualification, sitting down with the counselor, making sure that you can qualify for a payment that you can afford. Once that payment is established, you're assigned a hand. This is where we diverge from the difference between purchase and rehab mortgage. Once you qualify, you work solely with hand until hand can determine if we can approve you for rehab. And if we do, we'll approve the rehab budget, and that will set you up for mortgage processing, where we'll take a bank application, lock your interest rate. If hand cannot approve a budget that makes sense within the qualification amount, then we wouldn't be able to proceed. So we want to make sure that everyone does start the process correctly. Go to counseling. You got to go to NACA, a NACA workshop. Get your NACA ID, upload your documents, get qualified. Once you're qualified, you start working with hand exclusively.
This program is so new. Do we have a tab yet for someone who's not able to make it to your Friday webinar, but can go online and say, hey, this is a new product. This is the repurchase, refinance part?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just met with the CEO this morning. We are putting some documents up on the tools resources today or tomorrow, which will walk through all of that criteria. The NACA website still says purchase workshop. Everybody that's coming through the program, whether it's for purchase or for the rehab mortgage, you want to go to the purchase and sign up for that workshop. The name of the workshop is going to change from Homebuyer Workshop to NACA Workshop. So it supports all the loan products that we are doing now and will do in the future, because everyone needs to start at the NACA Workshop to get through the qualification criteria.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just excited. Thank you.
Good question.
Well, I definitely had a question, and I'm getting, you can see me looking down because I'm getting text messages. I'm getting all kind of people hitting me up on Zoom and everything. But I know this is Alabama because it's 2:05 that I'm getting back to back 2:05. So let me just ask the question. We said cold safety and health. We know that a lot of storms have gone through some of our rural areas, some of our southern territories, not just particularly Alabama, but Louisiana, Mississippi. Those areas got hit pretty hard with some tornadic weather and things like that. But Alabama sounds like they got the bulk of it due to the state of emergency, Tammy. So if they were a NACA member, and they had this devastation and the disaster, I can see why you say no to if you're already a NACA member, because our mortgages include principal, interest, tax, and insurance. So if you can pay your insurance claims and things like that should pick up. So I definitely understand why you would ask, because closed mouths don't get fed. I get that, but definitely, for the ones that don't have any insurance, that would not be a NACA member, because our product it makes sure that you are protected. And this is one of the beautiful things about being a NACA member. We look out for you for the long haul, not just for the right now, and not to down any banks and servicers out there, but most banks just put you in the product and then it's like, we're done. But NACA is there with you for the life of the loan. That's why it's principal, interest, tax, and insurance. So you're covered. So you're insured. Now, if your insurance companies are not, and I do get those questions a lot, my insurance companies are giving me the runaround, I need help, then that's a different story. And yes, we will advocate for you. You still need to call the 425-602-6222 number. But for those that are non-NACA members and they're having the tarp on the roof, Tammy, and they do not have insurance, there's holes in their floor. Half of the roof is gone, part of the corner of the home. Some of the pictures I've seen has been so devastating.
Right.
Those are the people that need to come to the workshop, get that counseling, get an appointment, because they're going to be priority in looking at if they qualify for this, right?
That's exactly right. So NACA members, as you said, are protected with homeowners insurance. And if we have NACA members that are having problems with their homeowners insurance, you need to call MAP. That's the whole point of being a member. The MAP is the member assistance program. After you close, if you get any problems, you call MAP and MAP will start you on some support. And sometimes that's just working with hand to try to establish cost and working with your insurance company. We do that all the time. Why is your insurance declining you? Your homeowner's insurance policy was supposed to cover this. We will look at all the options to kind of help support you. Now, we're not doing the job for you. because this is your home and you got to put your own elbow grease in it. But if you're a member and you have a NACA mortgage and you are struggling with, Alabama's not the only place. I mean, we got California with floods. We've got fires going on. We got major snowstorms that have damaged pipes up in the north. I mean, there's all kinds of things that happen all over the country. And one of the things that's wonderful about NACA is because we service the entire country, we see everything that's happening and we see all of the problem solving options. So if something works here, can we make that work there? That's how we are coming up with the energy efficiency initiative. But when you are not a NACA member and you don't have that umbrella of help, we are trying to create new initiatives to help where we can. So the rehab mortgage is very important to the low-income communities around the country. We need to find out if you have the affordability, number one, to qualify. So you've got to get signed up for the workshop. Start there. Once you get counseled and we've established a payment that you can afford, now we can see what that payment will afford you for repairs. We were going to start with code safety health first, and then if you've got room, we'll add on. In some instances, you may still not have enough room to do everything that needs to be done. Are there other grants out there that will help us get you and fill those gaps? So there's so many options, but the first step you have to take is getting into the NACA workshop. Start your counseling process, and we're doing these now. I cannot wait for my first refinance member. I got thousands of calls in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. Everybody's interested, but I have not gotten one qualification. And one question I haven't heard is, how long is it going to take to get qualified? Unlike purchase, if you've been making your current mortgage payment on time, you should be able to qualify within your first or second appointment, no more than 30 days.
Wow, that's awesome.
If you don't have a mortgage, we need to establish what type of payment you can afford. How has your budget and your debts impacted what you can save? So it might take you a little longer, but we're looking at our refinance rehab mortgage product. We're looking at a qualification of 30 days or less. If we can get you into if we can get you into the counseling process. So you got to get to the counseling process. Right. We can do so much, but we can't do anything until you make the first step.
Wow.
And that's critical, making that first step, and as Damien always preach, don't write your own declination letter. Don't be the end all be all and figure this thing out and get inside the counselor's head of what they're going to do. Tammy is here to guide the counselors, and the regionals are here to guide the counselors throughout this process. And she just said it best. Look at how short of a time frame that is. Why would you not try it? Why
Absolutely.
would you not? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Now, the rehab process is the same with purchase as it is with the rehab mortgage. You're going to have to get inspections on the home. This is an out-of-pocket expense. We don't want you spending any money. I don't care who you talk to. You listen to me. Do not spend any money on an inspection until you're qualified and you've been assigned a hand representative, because there's no reason to spend money until we know what you can actually get qualified for. Very important, if I can get that across to everybody today. We're going to require inspections. We're going to need to identify, register eligible contractors. This is where your work will pay off. You can start calling around and looking for anyone that's licensed, insured, have a tax ID, and start getting them registered now by sending them to the NACA website to sign in and register as a vendor. You can send them to hand@naca.com to get more information about our new vendor workshops. We hold those every Friday as well. So we will rely on the member. On a rehab mortgage, you're going to have to hire your contractor before you close. That's different from purchase. Purchase, you don't own the home yet, so we don't want you hiring anyone for a property you don't legally own. But for the rehab product, the refinance product, when you get turned over to hand and we start doing inspections and identifying what repair requirements are and additional, you're going to start looking for contractors. I can't approve a rehab budget if you can't find a contractor that's willing to work with you in your local market. So there's a lot more work that takes place on the rehab mortgage side after you get qualified. And it's very important that you get that process started as well. And when you go to the refi meeting on Friday with me, I'll give you more detail about that. So there is a little homework. Every member has to do their part. NACA offers these great affordable products at low rates, no down payments, but there is some sweat equity. You got to get out there. You got to find some contractors that can actually do the job that we can register. Registering contractors is pretty simple. They got to have license, insurance, tax ID, and agree to the NACA program guidelines and terms of services. If we can get a contractor signed on for your job and you agree that they're great and they can be recommended to the next member that comes along, we give you participation credit and we'll put them on a list and let them access other members' projects that are out there as well. So much to talk about. I don't know if you have any other questions. You know, I won't stop. So
no, and this is
good.
I mean, we're just like little sponges right now. We're taking it all in. I can't even speak to our regulars out there. You know, I see Mo Better. I see you, girl. Nice to see you out there. So I'm looking at all the comments and questions. The phone lines are ringing, and I'm just taking in all of this information. One of the questions, Tammy, on the contractors, you obviously have a list of contractors to choose from, but in these rural areas and specific areas, you know, that is going to be probably a little bit different and a little bit difficult to say the least. You want them to come to the Friday at 3 p.m., the vendor workshop, so that anybody that we have in mind to do this work can at least go ahead on and start getting prepared, get the required documents and all of that. Whether we choose them or not, the best thing to do is send them through the workshop.
Anybody that knows contractors in their market, that wants access to $20 million plus in renovation funding for renovation. If I was a contractor and I did not work for NACA, I would be a NACA registered contractor. $21 million in renovation funds on average. Why do I need to look for work when I can just go to NACA, register, and as long as my clients are happy, NACA is going to keep referring other members to me. Now, they don't work for NACA. I'm going to be very clear. They're independent third-party contractors. But that courtesy list that we have built in a lot of our markets, that courtesy list exists because of members who identified one or more contractors that they worked with. And then once they were done, they referred them to the program. So they're not NACA contractors. I want to be very clear about that. These are member-referred eligible contractors that members brought to the program, real estate agents brought to the program, title agents brought to the program, other contractors brought to the program, because we have funding and we have qualified homeowners looking for vendors that need to make major improvements down to basic repairs. So it was members just like yourself that brought contractors to the program, and we will work with any vendor that you want to work with, provided they register. Registration requires license, insurance, tax identification. They got to be a legitimate company to work with. So the lender's going to take their tax identification and run it through the IRS, make sure that they can issue a 1099 to them at the end of the year once they get paid all the money that they made from working on it. And they got to agree to the program terms of services. Program terms of services are pretty straightforward. Number one, offer fair, affordable pricing. Number two, work within the payment guidelines for rehab escrow. Number three, there is a third one, and it just escaped me. Number three is, report any fraud. This is sort of vendor related. If you have someone telling you to say something that's not real, report those individuals so that we can get them out of our organization. They create a bad environment, and we want to make sure that it's a safe environment for everybody that's working with us.
Now, Tammy, I do have one quick question, because you said once they're qualified, how long do they have, say with the rural areas, it might take a little bit of time to get a contractor down in Macon or Valdosta. How long do they have, or is there a time frame set for them to try to find? I mean, they should start now, but trying to find an actual contractor could be a challenge when it's not near the larger metropolitan cities.
Will work for you as long as it takes you. Remember, on a rehab mortgage product, you're not even going to go to bank application until hand has approved you with a contractor that has been approved to do your project as soon as you close.
Now, would they have to, so say if it's 2 months and I'm still looking, do I now have to do like the regular purchase part, go through like a requalification?
Well, we will probably do a recertification at Credit Access, because Credit Access happens after hand clears the property and approves the project and approves the contractors. So if an extended period of time has come by at Credit Access, are you still employed based on your qualification? Do you still have the minimum required funds, which would be your prepaid taxes, prepaid interest? The standard Credit Access updates that take you to bank apps. So if anything has changed from initial qualification, you may have to start all over from scratch. So don't go buying, don't be charging up credit cards or changing jobs or spending the money that you saved. But outside of that, however long it takes you to identify contractors that we can approve and get a final rehab package put together based on approved bids, we'll work with you for as long as it takes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Mobetta, we missed you. We missed you. I see you say you missed us too, girl. We really do. Sean Smallwood, I wanted to address your question. Sean is basically saying, can you have access to the resources? And Sean must have been a little late. Can you have access to the resources even if you bought your home outside of NACA? And Tammy, you've already addressed that. This rehab program is actually not for current NACA members because they're covered by insurance. So this program is designed just for you if you are in need of assistance due to code safety help.
Well, that is sort of true. What Sean is saying is, what if I bought my house with someone other than NACA? Sean, you still have to be at or below 100% of the MSA to be eligible, and you have to have owned your home for at least 3 years. And it's only for repairs that are code safety health. We're not doing rehab refinance for anyone that wants to do a room addition, do major improvements. This is for habitability. This is to make sure low-income members have a safe, habitable home. That's what we're looking at. If you have code safety health, structural, mechanical repairs that you can't afford to do on your own, you're coming to us for this rehab mortgage. This is not to bling out your house. These are things that you can look at in other avenues through other refinance options in your market. This is a lifeline that NACA is offering to low-income members that do not have other options.
Absolutely. One of the questions that I'm getting from, and don't forget 833-771-0500, everybody. One of the questions that I'm getting, and this is a 504, so this is down in South Louisiana. When I see this, they're basically saying they do fit the criteria that you spoke of. Unfortunately, the house is not in their name. They've been living in the house, great-grandparents' home. House is not in their name, but it is in dire need of repairs. There are holes in the porch, and the back of the wall is termite. Would this qualify? Okay.
That sounds like a purchase. It's time to buy that home from grandma and grandpa and come through the purchase process and do a rehab purchase, not a refinance.
What if they're deceased, Tammy?
Who inherited the property?
That's the question. So
if you legally inherited the property, we would look at that as a rehab mortgage option. But you got to start the counseling process for us to assess where you are. If you don't legally own the home, you can't refinance the home. So what's going on and how can we make this work for you? That's why the purchase rehab and the rehab refinance mortgage is so perfect together. We've got these twin products. One should fit if you're either purchasing from heirs. Let's say grandma and grandpa's house was left to a trust who ultimately owns the home. Can you purchase that home from them? Or are you the legal heir? It's got to get through all of the probate and the necessary legalities of who actually owns the home. And from there, we could look at it as a possible refinance. It sounds to me like you might have a little homework on that, but you can start the NACA counseling process so that by the time you're qualified and you're working on both of them side by side, you'll be ready to go once everything's been worked out.
So in that same scenario, Tammy, and not to speak for 504, but in that same scenario, you're saying refi, but not rehab. they're definitely going to need some rehab on that. In the event that there are additional heirs and things like that, that's a whole legal matter that we
That's
can't.
exactly right. That needs to get worked out
I
first.
don't want to get into that for sure. But if this was if it was a perfect storm and the house was deeded or inherited to this person, it sounds like they're more interested in getting the house fixed up for code safety, health. Termites is probably
All of that
one of
falls
them.
within the criteria.
So they would do rehab as opposed to refi, because sounds like they're owning it outright.
We do rehab for purchase and we do rehab for refinance.
I got you.
You
So
see what I
Tammy,
mean? So the question is this a purchase or is this a refinance?
they
If
came
they
in asking
legally
about
own the
rehab.
home, it's a refinance.
Gotcha.
You can do a rehab on either one.
Yep. So they came in asking about the rehab due to the house being family property. So yeah, they got some homework to do.
You really do. And if you own the home if you inherited with brothers and sisters and all of you are willing to get on the refinance, but you got to live in the home together. We have two sisters that have we have two sisters that have 10 children. They're not all theirs. They have taken in children living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house.
Whoa.
They inherited it from their grandmother. So we're going to do the refinance with the two sisters because they both live together and they've documented that they live together and they're helping raise these children. If that's not a mission in itself, I don't know what is. So the household needs a room addition. I say we're not going to do room additions. We're not going to do it for anyone that that's not supported by the household size. These ladies need a room addition. They need a few room additions to support 10 children and themselves.
Yeah.
It's got to make sense and it's got to be within their affordability. And the affordability is there because both sisters work and receive income from the children that they're raising for various reasons. We're going to document that and we're going to basically rebuild their home to support 12 household members, children,
I love it.
and the sisters. That's a story. We just got to get them qualified so I can get my hands on them. But it's got to make sense. They legally inherited the home from their grandmother. They are working through making sure that we can sign off on because we're going to pull title. We're going to make sure all of this is legally legit to support a new rehab mortgage. But there might be some additional homework that you need to do. And I suspect that heirship is going to be a challenge for some folks because properties have been handed down from generation to generation. And along the way, no one wanted to do work to a home they didn't legally own. So the house was getting in worse condition. Now it's time to pull it all together and make it work. There might be some things that you need to do to make that happen, but we're going to be here for you for as long as it takes to get it done.
And just to clear it up, Tanisha Lane, I'm going to ask this question just to clear it up. Let's say you want to start the program in another state, while you're living or renting in another state, but this is the purchase program, and then pick a house in a different state. For the tri-state areas like Baltimore, DC, Virginia, we see that a lot. Northern states, we see that a whole lot. But this is one that's coming, and I got a feeling it's the southern states or whatever. How do we differentiate that, Tammy, or do we?
When you are purchasing a home in a state that you don't yet live in?
Correct.
Okay, let's talk about that. That revolves around a qualification.
Yep.
During the last 24 months of absolute housing craziness, where everybody was buying whatever was available for whatever it cost, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is a tremendous amount of buyer regret out there, which is why NACA has this policy in place, because they bought a home in a community they didn't know anything about. They bought a home in a neighborhood they never lived in. So if you're buying in another location, in another city, another state that you do not yet live in, you can start the program. You can start the program by going through the qualification process, but you cannot even purchase a home until you live in that community, understand what you're buying. So we're going to require that And where are you working? Are you transferring jobs? You may need to be in the new job for an extended period of time. If you're going to be in the same job, but you're moving to a new community, maybe you're a remote worker, maybe you're getting relocated, that's fine. We will just keep it going. But you need to be living in that community for a period of 60 to 90 days to truly understand. We have some members are saying, I live in Boston, Massachusetts, but I'm moving back home where I was born and raised to San Antonio, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an exception, but are your feet on the ground now in San Antonio, Texas? Because we have people that try to use our program for nefarious reasons, for investment. You have to own or occupy the home. So how are you owner occupying a home when you don't even live in the city yet? Why are you writing a contract? So there's got to be some things that line up to our program guidelines that make sense. We'll look at exceptions based on the scenario, but you may have to be living in that home for a period of 30, 60, 90 days, up to 6 months, depending on the scenario. If you're moving into a community you've never lived in before, you've never worked in before, and now you're coming in, getting a job, you need to get established. No one should be buying a home when they're moving to the other part of the country and starting a new career. You need to focus on getting your career off the ground and getting some income to support the home that you want to buy. So it really will determine, the circumstances have to determine the reasons and the exceptions that we could possibly grant for that. That's the best I can do to answer that question, because there are so many scenarios, but I hope that does help.
Yep. And thank you, Tammy. And just to answer so many different Tessa and a couple of others that are saying they're having difficulty getting in contact with their counselors, and they're trying to get good, solid answers and better answers to their questions and not generic answers and things like that. Please, 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 if you are having a hard time reaching your counselor, call 425-602-6222. Let them know that this is an escalated matter. You will get taken care of. They will try to reach out to your counselor while you're on the phone. You know, if the counselor is in another counseling session or something like that, they will make sure they follow up with you to make sure that the counselor did give you a call back. So I do want to make sure that you guys know that that number, 425-602-6222, is our member services department. It is a national service line for every region. You will get taken care of same day. So call that number, 425-602-6222.
And I would make this suggestion. If you're already in the process going through a counseling session, you know, if I'm working with Aunt Jeanette and I'm trying to counsel her, and Damien calls, Aunt Jeanette's not going to be happy if I hang up on her to take Damien's call. You write all your questions down and you address those in your appointment. And when you end an appointment, you make sure you have another appointment scheduled. Be prepared on those appointments with the questions that you need. Don't work harder, work smarter. And that's for both NACA and members. We have to work together in this. There's so many of you. There's so many of us. If we can make sure that when we are counseling together, we are answering all the questions. But at the end of your appointment, you may not be able to reach me for a while because I got to work with Damien and John and Jill and everybody else. I may not talk to you again until your next appointment. Be prepared for that appointment and have those questions ready. That would be my suggestion.
Preparation is key. She
Absolutely.
said it, guys. She said it. We were waiting for it. Be prepared. Do your homework. And someone out there asked about grants. We did talk about it and hit on it a little bit earlier. But yes, any grants that are out there in your local areas, in your district, your county, your city, your state that you qualify for and you have access to them, you know, don't just apply for them. Let us know so that we can go ahead on and do the legwork and get prepared. Sometimes we as the institution have to be vetted out, and we have to fill out paperwork and provide information. So if there are grants out there, please let us know. We want to partner and work with any grants and services out there.
Grants@NACA.com. Anybody that has grants that they think would be something another member could use. Remember, our organization exists because of members like you. What you share with us, we share with others. Members helping members. Grants@NACA.com. Send that grant information in. You can ask, is this grant a NACA approved grant? We'll look into it for you. Or this is a great grant for I'm going to just keep harping on San Antonio, Texas, because that's where I'm from. This is a great grant in San Antonio, Texas. I think other members would be eligible. You just send us the information. We'll make sure it's registered, and we can now start sharing that with other members. That's the best way to get grant information out there. I've been here a while, folks.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Pio, LPO, hi. No, you do not get your NACA ID at the point of registering or signing up for the workshop. If you have signed up for this weekend's workshop on March 10th, hey, hang on to your seats. You're in for a great journey. Go to the workshop. You have to stay for the entire 4-hour workshop. But guess what? At the end of that workshop, you get your NACA ID and you get all the information you need to take the next step to your home ownership by getting information about your appointment. What do you need to do to sign up for your appointment? But you do get access and have your NACA ID at the end of the workshop. So hope that answered your question. Thank you so much. On the phone lines, I do have another one that's asking, is it a one-time shot due to some of the storms that have devastated our area? I'm afraid to go through the rehab program. I think I qualify, dealing with cold health. But if storms come after this, where do I stand?
Well, remember, if you get a refinance mortgage with us, when you close, you're going to have homeowners insurance. So the next time, pray heaven that there isn't a next time for you. But if it does happen again, you're insured and your insurance company will cover those types of damages, because we're going to make sure that you have proper protection, especially on a mortgage that you have to pay back. The last thing you need to be paying a mortgage and now dealing with new storm issues. So you'll be properly insured to help prevent that.
Thank you, Tammy. That's the right thing to do. I love it. Next question is saying, so if I have only a little bit, 6 years left on my mortgage, but definitely need rehab work due to safety, mold, shower mold, due to shower mold. How does that work? And I already have a mortgage. I have not finished paying for my mortgage.
I love this question. This is such a good question. So I just had this on my last week's meeting, my last week's webinar. You have 5 years left on your mortgage, meaning you are almost paid off.
Yes.
Why would you want to put 30-year mortgage back on your home to do some repairs? Well, we have a 15, a 20, and a 30-year mortgage. So it's very possible we can do a shorter mortgage period. Yes. It would extend it to the 15, which is not 5 or 6 years that you're almost paid off, but you're only going to borrow exactly what you need. And if you can pay that loan off faster, we don't have any prepayment penalties. You'll be able to go for it and try to get it paid back. So if you only have 5 years left, that means you have a very low, hopefully very low mortgage balance. Then we're only going to put what you need, and we can go for the lowest term, the shortest period of term, which is at a lowest interest rate. The shorter the term, the shorter the rate. That will help you get that back to paid off as quickly as possible. So we have options that don't roll you back into a 30. And my recommendation is don't roll back into a 30 if you don't have a mortgage on your loan right now, or if you're at least 15 years into your mortgage. We'll look at a 15-year option and see how that works, because we're going to refinance any mortgage balance that you have and only adding exactly what you need for repairs. There's no fluff in there. And this applies to anywhere in the country. NACA services every state in the United States. So no matter where you are, we can do either purchase or the rehab mortgage with you.
So Dorothy Loop and Joan Erica, yes, this applies to Connecticut, New York, wherever there is a need. NACA is there to help you succeed and get back habitable, get your homes back habitable. Tammy, I cannot thank you.
Can we have 2 hours, y'all?
Yeah, I know. Mo, I was actually trying to skip Mo's question because I'm like 2 hours, but you know what?
No, I love the y'all.
Mo's our home girl, so she's part of the NACA fabric.
Come
now.
on over. I'll get you some cowboy boots and a cowboy
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Let me read this question from Ramonda Crosby. Ramonda is saying, hi, I was in the process in one state, then moved to another state. I was told I needed to wait a year before continuing in the new state. Will I have to start over again?
No, you have a NACA ID number. Call 425-602-6222 and get a new appointment scheduled for your new location.
Absolutely.
Get back on the horse.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Damien, they are asking some real estate questions out here. So speaking from a realtor's perspective, how is the housing market? Is the inventory, we're getting more inventory now, or what's your thought process just from a realtor's perspective?
Well, normally in the inventory, let's speaking from Georgia, is 5 to 7 months. Right now, we only have about 2 months worth of inventory. So the houses are still scarce. And the ones that are out there, definitely you need to use the repair part to fix them, because I have, members that have less than qualification for less than 130, but typically those houses will need some repair. But what I also tell people is this is not your final home. You can make more money, you can go back through the process. So you may have this small finite, well, I want to live in this area, I want this type of house, and I want all this stuff in it, but it may not work for your affordability. So make sure your mind matches your affordability. And sometimes you got to go a little bit further out, in order to get what's affordable to you. So I'm not telling you not to do it, because these rents are going up. When I see subdivisions that are being built, whole new 2-bedroom subdivision, 2-car garage subdivisions that are being solely built to lease. They're not even selling anything in it. That tells you that the rent is not going down. And if your money is not appreciating to keep up with the market, because typically a house is appraised from 3 to 5%, now they're up to 15. If your raises every year is not up to 15, then you're at some point going to be outpriced with the market and not be able to afford to buy. So now is the time to get your NAC ID, get to this workshop, and start buying. And look for things that, maybe a little bit further out. And make sure your mind always matches your money.
And just remember, every market's different. You
Mm-hmm.
are seeing some changes. It's not necessarily a seller's market in every place in the country right now, because the prices are starting to level off, and in some instances are starting to go down. And I would encourage and ask Damien to put his real estate muffs on, because he doesn't want to hear this, but talk to the people in your church. Talk to your neighbors. Do you know anyone that's selling a home? It's time to go back to old school home buying. You don't want to wait till a house gets on the market with a real estate listing so everybody can compete against it. Who do you know that's thinking about selling their home? You have seen a new sort of environment in the selling community where people are talking to their neighbors. Do you know anybody in the neighborhood that is selling? My sister wants to live here. Let's get them connected before it gets in the market for competition. Some people want to sell their home to owner occupants. If my neighbor comes and says they're going to sell the home, I'm going to say, hey, please don't sell it to an investor that's going to put it into the rental market. Just as Damien said, let me see if I can find someone that wants to owner occupy and get them with NACA. That's literally what I do in my entire neighborhood. I don't want to have my neighborhood turn into a predominantly rental neighborhood that's transient. That's how neighborhoods go down. So get into your churches, get into your neighbors, walk the neighborhood. You see someone cleaning up, that might be a telltale sign they're getting ready to sell that house. You see someone painting, they might be getting ready to sell that home. Hey, I know that someone that wants to buy it. Then if you have a realtor, let them facilitate the sale between the two of them. NACA helps facilitate with with sellers and buyers. It saves both parties money, and it helps someone actually get a home to owner occupy. That's the way to get back to making homes or neighborhoods owner occupied again. Get those investors out of our communities.
Absolutely.
Now, one more thing I'll add that you were saying, Tammy, is when you're looking at neighborhoods and you see vacant houses, well, again, don't look at it as you see it. Think about what the possibilities are, and going through NACA, you may be able to qualify for the rehab portion now to fix that house up to snuff. Or if you have a vacant house in your neighborhood, why not tell your cousins so they could go in the NACA program? Now y'all are in the same neighborhood. Now, this last one that I'll share with you, you may consider a little bit morbid, and it is,
Mhm.
but checking the deaths part, the obituaries in the newspaper, because if they died, that house may now be available. So kind of looking at who may have passed in the community or through the churches or even the funeral homes, you know.
Estate sales.
Stay
Yeah.
safe. Yeah, exactly right. I'm gonna take these last three real quick, and then we're gonna do Jen, Loving My Life White. I saw that question and I wasn't gonna go off air until we answered that. But Chastity, the number is 425-602-6222. That's 425-602-6222. And then I believe it was Joanna Tate. Joanna wanted to know, how do she get started? Go to the website, sign up for the nearest workshop near you. It can be virtual, it can be in person. Again, you know my favorite is in person always, because you get that one-on-one. But look online, www.naca.com, put in your zip code, and then find the workshop that is closest nearest you to get the process started. Jen, Loving Life White, says, I bought a home a little over a year ago. It was supposed to be a reconstruction home here in Illinois, and I trust my realtor and home inspector that worked with NACA and didn't do a good job right after I moved in. I noticed the contractor did a crappy job. House was not up to code. Inspector missed a lot of important factors. Do you have any grants or low interest home repair loans to help previous customers correct or fix repairs to their home?
I'm all over this one. First thing I want to start with is, you are not supposed to trust anyone but your own due diligence. Realtors are not responsible for identifying property conditions. Home inspectors that you hire, I want to remind you, they don't work for NACA. They're independent third party, and they can only inspect what they see. And sadly enough, when you move into a home, you start realizing there's a lot more things going on with that house than was identified in an initial inspection report. Reading what I'm reading, you purchased a renovated flip investor property. And this is where a lot of buyer's remorse has come from in the last couple of years. Everyone ran out and got themselves a contractor license. Guess what? I just have to pay a fee to get a license. In some states, I don't even have to be experienced to do construction. I just get a license and I start hiring a bunch of people to do work on a home. When an investor, seller is doing a renovation flip, they don't live in the home, so therefore they don't have to disclose what's wrong with that home. And they can cover up everything that they see to identify or to mask things so that you don't know that you may not be getting what you buy. So when you are looking to buy a home, whether you're doing it with NACA or any other lender out there, you get yourself a property inspection, you use a licensed inspector, and you make sure that that inspection takes place during daylight hours. You make sure all the utilities are on and you test everything. And if you still have questions, now you go out and get yourself a licensed contractor and you run through that inspection and you look at everything that needs to look. If you're not running the water when you're in the house during an inspection, how do you know if you don't have plumbing problems? Slow drains mean something. It doesn't mean that water just decided to go down the drain a little slower today than it did yesterday. Slow drains mean something. If you smell mold and you don't see mold, you have mold, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of members were told to look the other way, or were just so interested in putting their furniture in that house instead of really looking at what they're investing for the next 15 or 30 years. When you close on that home, whether you're a NACA member or you close with another mortgage, that is now your home, ladies and gentlemen. It's yours, all faults included. Unfortunately, if you're a NACA member, if you have, once you close, we don't have avenue to go back for additional financing, and NACA members don't, unfortunately, qualify to refinance using the renovation program. That was supposed to have been done. But if you have problems with the house on an investor deal, call MAP, and MAP will see what kind of options are available to you. If there are grant programs out there we can help get you tied into, they'll get connected with me and we'll see what we can do for you. But that's why it's so very important to do your due diligence. What does due diligence mean in the real estate world? Do your homework. A realtor cannot be accountable for the decision you made as a grown adult to purchase a home and sign on that dotted line and get your keys. You be careful if they're trying to tell you one thing when you see or smell Or here, another thing, you ask questions and do not close on a home that you don't feel comfortable closing on because you don't fully know the full extent. And you talk to the hand department. I don't know if there's something wrong, but I think I smell mold. Well, this is what you need to do. Our job is to coach you and give you advice. At the end of the day, you make the final decision. And when you close on it and you take those keys, you're saying, this is my home. I accept it, full financial responsibility and all. And we don't want any of our members or anybody out there, regardless of who you get your mortgage through, to make a bad decision. So just going through the program and you learn something from us to help make wise decisions about your future homeownership, whether you use the NACA products or not, we're okay with that. Our job was to help protect low-income minority buyers out there in the underserved communities. So by all means, get into the program, ask a lot of questions, and be careful. Just be very.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing I will suggest too, from a real estate perspective, that just personally happened to me, I always advocate making sure you get a home warranty, whomever you choose to get it from, because I've had my refrigerator replaced, brand new refrigerator, my hot water, my AC, all of those things, the electrical, the HVAC, they've even come and shifted my toilet because it was rocking. So I've even called them for that. So a lot of times those things would qualify in it, but you can't just wait till the last minute when it's not working to now get it. But if you kept it, I just maintain mine. And we negotiate it every year when they try to go up to say this is not worth it, but it is worth it, to be honest. So look into that too, to help you with what you're doing when you're buying your houses.
Absolutely. One last question, and I saw this earlier and it came back. Tammy, just to clear it up, especially for our Southern territories, manufactured homes. Do we work with manufactured homes?
Manufactured homes are an approved property type. It's got to be at least a double wide. It's got to be affixed to the property, meaning everything's tied down, and all the rigging, the hitches, those have to be removed, and it has to be properly skirted. But we do purchase and refinance of manufactured homes.
So the criteria is it has to be, you have to move the hitch, make sure
double wide, affixed to the property. You got to own the property and the manufactured home, or we're just talking about a car now because it's not real property. So it's got to be on the land that you also own,
right? Connected
to utilities, on a solid, not necessarily a solid foundation, but it's got to be years, and it's got to be fully none of the hitches that brought it in. All of those have to be properly removed, and it has to have a legal HUD tag, which means it wasn't built before 78, I think. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we have some people that are in single wides that may fit that criteria, but it does have to be double wide. Dang it.
Per our underwriting guidelines right now, you have to be in a double wide. If you are in a single wide and you're looking for a refinance, we are attempting to get exceptions on those, but there's no guarantee right now.
I got you. Okay, but we're trying. Okay. That's it, everybody. Tessa, thank you. Movetta, thank you. Joan, Eric, thank you. Joanna, I appreciate you guys. Jen, loving my life. Guess what? The old clock on the wall says time for us to go, but we're back here every Monday on the NACA podcast show. So reach out, love us, like us on all of our social media platforms. And if you missed this, tell your friends and everybody that we're going to repost the whole broadcast so they can come back and look at and listen to the questions and answer. And as always, www.naca.com and 425-602-6222. Remember that number. Lock it in. If you need us, call us. You guys take care. Tammy, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Always.
Great show.
Have a wonderful spring, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Stay safe.